POV, you fall in love in Lagos. That's it. That's the mistake. Hi there. Welcome to Ceevaluations. So glad you took time out of your day to be here. Today we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad by Damilare Kuku. Now, this book is Damilare Kuku's debut short story collection. She has worked as a radio presenter, a scriptwriter, a film producer, a Nollywood actress, and a director. She holds a bachelor's and master's degree in the arts and hopes to one day start a PhD and even maybe become a teacher. According to her, stories make the world a little less lonely, and that is why she loves storytelling so much. Now, Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad was first published by Masobe Books in 2021, and it's a collection of 12 short stories about various men and women and their experiences pursuing love in the city of Lagos, Nigeria. It was the best-selling fiction title of 2022 in Nigeria, which brought on international editions in the UK, US, and Germany into publication. This book, Only Big Bum Bum Matters in Lagos, and Women, Rent, Men, and Secrets Here, all are very controversial in their own way. Damilare is an author that writes whatever story she wants, regardless of the discourse that it might bring, and Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad has generated a lot of discourse, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. But fret not, because this video is here to give a breakdown of all 12 stories in this lovely book. And before we start, I do want to put out a disclaimer that this is not a spoiler-free review. We're going to be diving into key plot points and character arcs in all 12 stories, so if you're yet to read the book and you would like to go in blind, you can save this video for later and come back to it. This book contains themes of sexual content, emotional, physical, and mental abuse, manipulation, heartbreak, and situations that may feel triggering or uncomfortable to some viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Now, with all that sorted, let us finally understand why Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad, straight from the mind of Damilare Kuku. So the first story is called Cockup, where our protagonist, Isi, starts by telling us how her threat to cut off her husband's manhood resulted in him calling a family meeting. She recalls how she chose to marry her husband, Lukman, because of his natural charm, the way he would bring poetry to her door, sweet notes and love letters, the way he sang songs that sounded like they were written just for her. She recalls how she rebelled against her parents just to marry Lukman, the youngest child and the only boy who was over-pampered by his mother and his 5 older sisters, and how despite it all, she decided to stay, not because of her love for Lukman or the pressures of his family, but for their 6-year-old daughter, Kitan. You see, Isi used to sell roasted corn and boli by the junction of Unilag when Lukman had lost his job a year into their marriage, and she had to resign from her job as a secretary due to her getting pregnant with Kitan. It was a very difficult period for them, and Lukman kept reassuring her that it wouldn't always be like this and he would get a job very soon. But that was 6 years ago, and Lukman was still jobless. Isi made sure to spend frivolously on everything except Kitan's education. She enrolled her in one of the best private schools in Yaba. And things stayed that way until the day she met Ehioze, a well-mannered owner of an international freight company going through a bitter divorce with his soon-to-be ex-wife. They met on a rainy Thursday when he paid far more than the regular amounts that you pay for corn and boli, and he would always pay far more than the amounts needed. He was always kind and engaging with Kitan whenever she was in the shop after school. He'd come to the shop every week, and over time they got close enough for Isi to open up about her husband's unsuccessful job hunting, which then prompted Ehi to ask for a CV. Now, Isi told her husband the good news when she got home that day, but Lukman wasn't as enthusiastic. And after 2 weeks had passed and he still hadn't given her his CV, Isi decided to type and print one by herself to give Ehi. It was then Ehi made his own proposition. He would give her husband a job at his company, and he would give her 2 million naira to open up her own grocery store on the condition that she spend a weekend with him alone in Osobo. Now, Isi was rightfully insulted and declined, but he asked her to just think on it. It's particularly striking to note that when she recounted the story to Lukman, all he said was that she was his woman and would always be his woman no matter what. Not in a loving way though, in a way that spells possession. So ultimately, Isi accepted the offer. That Friday morning, he took her along to business meetings, and later that evening, he wrote a check for 2.8 million naira. That night, they did nothing more than kiss and cuddle in bed, but the next morning, they decided to do the do first in the shower before moving to the bedroom. And he told her that night that in another life they would have been perfect for each other. On the last night of their getaway, he asked her to stay with him, not in a hotel room, but his house, her and Kitan. Now, mind you, Isi is recounting all these memories as her in-laws and the ringleader, Lukman's mother, are still pressing her on why she threatened to kill their son and cut off his manhood. So she answers, she tells them to ask Lukman, ask your son why he made me sleep with another man for money. Apparently, it was Lukman who pressured her to take Ehi's offer, begging her to do it to secure Kitan's future. He made her sleep with Ehi, but treated her like a leper when she returned. He refused to take the job that he offered, but he insisted that she take the 2 million and rent a one-bedroom flat, the one-bedroom flat that they're currently living in, and buy a brand new watch that he's presently wearing. He also refuses to touch her, yet is sleeping with every girl in their neighborhood. The last straw that ultimately breaks the camel's back is when Lukman starts spouting that he doesn't think Kitan is his biological child. And so the story ends with Isi looking her mother-in-law dead in the eye and telling her that indeed, if her son doesn't move out of this house, he will cut off his penis and use this for money ritual, all with a beaming smile on her face. Now, for all the stories, all 12 stories that we're going to do, we're going to rate them on a scale. The scale is stupid, mad, insane. So I think for this one, there's the lazy cock husband, there's the crazy in-laws, and then there's a wealthy divorcee ready to take her away from this life. On a scale of stupid, mad, and insane, I would rate this story mad. It's not insane, it's not like crazy, but it is mad. Story number 2 is titled The Jigalo from Isalo, and it starts at 7:26 p.m. when our drunk protagonist tells you, yes, you, why this is the third bachelor party that he's throwing for his friend, his guy, his day one man, Iggy. He doesn't mind though, as he's an event organizer and a nightclub owner, so he's willing to throw a dozen bachelor parties for Iggy. But the biggest one he's going to throw is definitely for Sheni. Now, Sheni is his other day one, handsome but with an air of sadness around him. The sadness is partly Iggy's fault. Why? Well, after trying to dissect with you why Iggy is set to marry a rich widow who's about 20 years his senior with enough alcohol ingested in his body, our protagonist tells the story of how he and Iggy met. They first met at 8 years old in Isalo when Iggy's mom cooked for his family and they went to the same church. They became inseparable to the point that Iggy's mom moved into their boys' quarter and enrolled Iggy in the same school as him. Now, Iggy's promiscuity began at 18 when they would sneak off to Iyalati's buka together to chase and ogle girls. Girls were always throwing themselves at Iggy because of how charming he was. During their NYSC days, while Iggy was posted to Lagos, Iggy used the time to secure a job at a family-run logistics company, which came with a furnished 2-bedroom apartment in Lekki, all thanks to the fact that he was dating Folakemi, the daughter of the company's leader. Iggy then ditched that job for a fintech role in Victoria Island, where he was also involved with the senior madam of that company while still dating Folakemi. It led to a nasty breakup, but he still got to keep the apartment somehow. And soon enough, our protagonist and Sheni moved in with Iggy, living the dream young Lagos bachelor lifestyle. Women would buy Iggy new phones. The fintech madam got him a Toyota RAV4. He got vacations to Mauritius. He got free apartment decor and so many home-cooked meals from various girlfriends. 3 years after NYSC, Iggy decided to get married to a woman named Odunola, a quiet, forgettable woman who treated Iggy like a demigod. That was the first bachelor party that our protagonist threw for Iggy that made him want to get into event organizing. Now, Iggy gets married to the woman, and 6 months later, he moves to the US, gives our protagonist his RAV4, and Iggy stays in the US for 5 years before coming back divorced and alone, but not empty-handed. He came back with an American passport because it turns out the woman was an American citizen. By 10:45 p.m., we learn of Iggy's second marriage, this time to a Muslim lady called Jamila. Now, he, Sheni, and Iggy befriended Jamila, and Sheni even started developing a crush on her, but he never had the courage to confess his feelings. And then one day, seemingly out of nowhere, Iggy suddenly declared that he had converted to Islam and he had taken the name Iqbal. The man whose late mother named him after Saint Ignatius of Loyola was now Iqbal and could conveniently marry Jamila, whose uncle was a big shot at FIRS, and after the marriage, got Iggy a government contract that was life-changing for him and Sheni's fintech. Now, Sheni was heartbroken and he refused to even come for the second bachelor party. Sheni eventually left him and Iggy's fintech and he moved to Abuja, transferring all his company shares to our protagonist. The gang fell out and Iggy and Jamila's marriage lasted about 5 years until her uncle retired from the FIRS and Iggy unconverted. But now Sheni is at this third bachelor party and our protagonist has announced his plan to make Sheni and Iggy patch things up, revealing that you, yes you, are going to be having a blind date with Sheni, as you would be both such a perfect match for each other, don't you think? Just a tip though, don't let him plan the bachelor party. So this one, on our stupid, mad, insane scale, let's see, you have a womanizer, an opportunity hopper, and a Lagos man with enabling friends. I would call that mad. It's not stupid and it's not really insane. It's just frankly mad. Our third story is titled The Anointed Wife, where we follow Pastor Mrs. Evelyn Oriade as she tries to navigate the evils of worldly persons seeking to ruin her marriage and her ministry. You see, 2 weeks ago, an article was released accusing her husband, Pastor Tade Oriade, a devout man of God, of having inappropriate relations with the accuser on the 19th of June 2020. But this evil worldly snake is obviously lying about her husband and trying to tarnish his good name. But our anointed wife wasn't always this devout though. She grew up with strict Christian parents, but she was more rebellious and carefree. When she met Tade at 18, he was just a gangly, beardless 22-year-old who would blush when they would dry hump each other in her house out of sight from the maids. She invested in Tade. She's the one that told him that the church was his calling and that he had a voice like no other, authoritative and commanding. They built their ministry from the ground up, from 10 faithfuls to 20 to hundreds. And for 13 years, she juggled motherhood, jobs, and running the church, making sure her main selling point, a man of God, could do his thing on stage and shine. 13 years later, they have everything they've ever dreamed of. They have a 6-bedroom mansion, a cook, a driver, and a gardener. Their kids go to exclusive private schools and their ministry is booming. But now, this wretched harlot is coming to ruin all those years of hard work with nonsensical gossip. Never mind the fact that she has caught Tade cheating on her twice, without his knowledge, of course. The first time was a year and a half into their marriage, when she had just come home early from a visit to her aunt. She entered the house and she heard moaning, bed creaking, and the squelching of bodies. She didn't open the bedroom door or confront them. She just walked back to the bus stop, calmed herself down, and went on like nothing happened. The second time was 5 years ago, when she tried surprising him in his office. This time, she did open the door, and while they didn't see her, she had a clear view of the whole encounter. And from then on, she made sure to have people spy on him occasionally. But the slimy fox managed to pull this one off without her knowledge. And now Evelyn had to be the one to quench the fire that he ignited, and she was losing badly. You see, Instablog had already spread the story. Twitter was eating her up, and none of the carefully curated PR stunts or press releases were holding up against the woman's countless interviews. But our anointed wife was not about to accept defeat so easily. So what did she do? Easy. A day before the Ladies Tell All book launch, Pastor Mrs. Evelyn Oriade deepfakes a CCTV video of her, her husband, and their children praying at home together on the date and time that the woman claimed to have met up with the pastor, removing every ounce of credibility from the woman's story and successfully winning this battle against her enemies. Yes, her husband had lied to her and cheated on her, but like she said, the bond that they have is beyond understanding, and she will not allow it to fall. Now this one on the madness scale is actually insane. I cannot lie to you. You have a male-centered wife, number one. You have performative purity with all the church things, number two. And the craziest thing is the fact that the man is the one that slept with this lady, and yet there are no consequences for him. No consequences at all, because he is this devout man of God. He can never do no wrong. You know, he can never. Story number 4 is titled International Relations, and it starts with our lovely protagonist, Chike Macaulay, declaring that she is tired of Lagos men and that nearly all of them are mad. She says that they all come with lying, cheating, scamming, oud de sauvage, and fake accents. So instead of continuing to deal with them, she has decided to get herself an Oyibo man. But of course, it can't just be any Oyibo man, you know, she has her list of preferences. So number 1, he must not have a poverty mentality. One of her exes, Nonso, used to make her cook and clean and do his laundry, all because he didn't want to pay for it. And she has told herself never again. She's not doing that. Number 2, he should have his own money, because her days of lending men money are over. Number Number 3, he should be ugly or at least plain looking. She's done with Lagos pretty boys. The last one, Andrew, was too wild, too young, too energetic and experimental, which is why number 4, he must be conventional in the bedroom. And number 5, he should be Western, fully white. No Lebanese, Indian, or Chinese Oedipus. She doesn't want that. Now, by week 5, she's already getting exhausted on her search. She met one guy at a restaurant, a German engineer named Uwe. He was exactly what she'd been searching for. Plain, boring, and manageable. And everything was going well when they spoke. That is, until his white wife spotted them. She rushed off in embarrassment. By week 7, though, she bags a man named the Russian, as she likes to call him. That was before finding out that he was actually Ukrainian. His name was Apostle Zerdev, a company leader with magnetic green eyes and a possessive personality. But by week 12, though, that crashes and burns completely. You see, our girl Shike is a true girl boss. She's an orphan whose parents died when she was very young, and she was raised by the matriarch of her house, Iya Agba, who taught her everything that she knew. The woman took her all throughout uni in the UK, where she met Kwesi. Now, Kwesi is a Ghanaian and a very dear friend to Shike. He helped her get through Iya Agba's death when they were still in uni. Kwesi has a wife, but he claims that they're getting divorced, and he's in an apartment declaring that he wants to be with her. He's confessing his undying love for her when Pastor, that's Apostle, walks into the apartment acting like a jealous macho man and telling Shike that she must never talk to Kwesi again now that she has a real man. Obviously, our girl boss isn't having that, and she orders him out of her apartment, effectively ending the short relationship right then and there. So no more Oibo, no more Kwesi, because after that incident, he blocked her and he went back to his wife. And now she's right back to square one. Lagos men, nearly all of them are mad. On the scale of stupid, mad, and insane for this story, I actually wouldn't call it mad. I would call it stupid because you have weird encounters with men for no reason. You somehow manage to bag a very controlling white man. And also, you are a vanilla chaser. So yes, on the scale of stupid, mad, and insane, this is straight up stupid. Now, story number 5 is a play on words. It's called Oedipus complex, and it refers to the Oedipus complex, which is a recurring theme throughout this entire segment. Now, what is an Oedipus complex? To put it simply, it's a psychoanalytical theory that a son will desire sexual involvement or have a sexual attitude towards his mother while having some form of hostility or resentment towards his father. Now, the story starts when Jide meets Uche on a flight from Port Harcourt to Lagos when his mother makes her switch plane seats with him. Now, Jide is a writer and an editor at a culture and arts magazine. Her writing has gotten byline by publications like Guardian, BBC, and The New Yorker, yet despite all her accomplishments, her parents resent her for abandoning her geology degree to gallivant as a writer. But their disappointment doesn't deter her. She remains brazen, opinionated, and not one to be pushed over. Uche is the only son and the youngest of 3. He's the CEO of an auto parts company he inherited from his late father, who passed away when he was young, leaving his mother to raise him. He's tall, well-spoken, and handsome, and he and Jide have incredible chemistry together. I mean, there's a whole page just dedicated to them going at it. However, Jide is Yoruba, Uche is Igbo. Uche feels the need to impress his mother with his choice of woman. He introduces Jide to his mother as a geologist instead of a writer. He doesn't defend Jide from his mother's subtle jabs at her mannerisms or her social class or even her tribe. And also, his mother informs Jide that Uche already has a fiancée. Her name is Adaobi, the daughter of a family friend from his father's side. Uche's mother feels that because her husband died as a result of the Biafran War, she has to make sure her only son continues his legacy and marries someone from his father's side. She's indifferent about Jide, but she doesn't think she's a good fit for her son. However, she says she has given Uche permission to marry Jide under 2 conditions. Number 1, she must get pregnant before the wedding to ensure that she is fertile. And number 2, they will live in the same compound as her in the duplex right in front. Jide calmly thanks his mother, declares her love for Uche as a human being, and graciously gets the hell out of that toxic mother-son incestuous relationship. This one, you would think I would call this one insane. It is insane, but I don't think it's actually that insane compared to other stories that we're going to read about in this book. You have the mother-son emotional incest, you have him being a mommy's boy, and you have the whole thing about the Oedipus complex. So although this is insane, I would actually rank it as mad because she left, she didn't stay. So it's not insane, it's just mad. Story 6 is titled A Lover's Vendetta, and it's a real slimy tale of betrayal. betrayal. It all starts when one day, Orode, a 25-year-old restroom cleaner at General Hospital Sabo, meets Dele, a 27-year-old mechanic at John Holt, on a BRT bus. It was, dare I say, love at first sight. And a year after they met, they got married. Now, already had a boyfriend called Ebuka before meeting Dele, but she felt Ebuka was too gentle. He had his head in the clouds about love. Dele, on the other hand, was bold and fearless, and she felt like he was someone she could lean on, her Prince Charming in a sense. Her best friend, named Chuchu, a fellow orphan that she met as a child in the nunnery that they grew up in, has been by her side basically her whole life. Yet, a year into her marriage with Dele started dropping hints that he didn't like Chuchu and he didn't want Oriade hanging around her. Thank God she didn't listen. Dele's uncle would always admonish them for not having children yet, but Dele was always there to defend her. They were patient. They even opened a savings accounts for their future kids. They saved and invested every kobo for their future family. By year 2 of their marriage, Orode had started nursing school. By the 3rd year, they had gone to 3 different doctors, and Orode had started drinking instead of dismissing the concussions that Dele's uncle recommended. She kept telling herself, just one more year, and I'll be a mother. God will answer my prayers. And he did, just not in the way that she expected. A week after her and Dele's 4th wedding anniversary, Orode is on the couch laughing at something on Twitter, trying to distract herself from the fact that her doctor, Dr. Ola, is expecting a child. She looks up from her phone and she sees Dele with tears in his eyes, and she asks him what's wrong. He breaks down into her lap and confesses to her that he cannot father a child. Yes, he lied. And the doctors lied too, because he paid them to lie. He is infertile. He has been infertile since a kick in the testicles during a football game when he was younger damaged him for life. Even his stupid accomplice of an uncle knew. This whole time he knew. Orede instantly runs to Chuchu's house, and in the time it took for them to get confirmation that she can indeed bear children, Dele and his uncle had emptied their entire flat of all valuables. 4 years of her life gone in an instant, literally and figuratively. Picks up the scraps with Chuchu by her side, and a year later, she's back working at General Hospital, this time as a nurse, slowly piecing her life back together after a Lagos man almost destroyed it. This one is insane because you have a man who is a liar. He is a coward. He has a sociopathic uncle and enabling family members. So this is not just mad. This is not just stupid. This is insane. It's insanity. Story number 7 is titled First Times, and it starts with our protagonist, Evie, taking us through her first times in life. First time she had sex was when she was 16 in a dingy motel in Bariga to a man called Idris. Now, this Idris was honestly the worst thing that could have happened to our poor Evie. He's someone that would come buy stuff from her mother's supermarket, and the day he asked her to be his girlfriend, he almost immediately started asking for sex. Poor Evie couldn't resist. I mean, how could she? He was one of the popular seniors, and she was just an acne-faced fresher. So she relented, and not wanting her mother to realize during the daily vaginal checks, she opted for anal to appease him. 2 weeks after the painful experience, he stopped picking her calls, and she caught him with a busty, light-skinned woman on his hostel bed. By her 2nd year, Evie had matured a bit, but she was still naive enough to go back to Idris after all his begging. The first time Evie lost a fight was when she was 21. It was outside a club that Idris had booked for her to celebrate her 21st birthday. She wasn't really a club person, but he was, so she indulged him. But after a small argument about the cost of the bill that she was paying for, mind you, he stormed off. And the next thing she knew, she found him outside in an alley getting a blowjob from another busty light skin. Evie tried pouncing on the girl only to receive a black eye and more tearful apologies from Idris, saying that it would never happen again. The last time Idris made her cry was at 28. By then, they'd been married for 4 years with a daughter on the way, and her small supermarket shop, which her mother helped her start in uni, had grown into a chain of 7 mega supermarkets all over Lagos. Evie tries to convince her best friend Vera and herself that Idris had changed. There were no more side chicks or one-night stands, no more heavy drinking or clubbing. In fact, Evie's face was his DP on all his social media handles. Vera says it's because he's too broke to indulge, but Evie says it's because he's mature. Later that night, Evie is awoken by her water breaking, but Idris isn't in bed beside her. Instead, as she creeps downstairs, she finds him and the house help, Testimony, bent over lover on the dining table, going at it like rabbits. And yes, she was indeed a busty, light-skinned woman. Evie didn't overreact. She just calmly interrupted to tell Idris to get dressed, get the baby bag, and drive her to the hospital. She refused to speak a word to him during the 9 hours of labor, and after her C-section delivery, she told the doctors to tie her tubes immediately. She named her daughter Grace after her late mother, and she told Idris to get her a new dining table. The first time Evie had an orgasm was when she was 33, and it wasn't from Idris, but it was from someone Idris had introduced to her. His name was Ezekiel, Zeke for short, and he was beautiful. Dimpled smile, white teeth, and dark skin. He was the new driver that Idris had employed for her, and before long, they couldn't deny their physical attraction and started seeing each other secretly in different guest houses and hotels twice a week. It wasn't just the sex though, they were falling for each other, and they knew it. So 4 months later, 3 months after Zeke had resigned, Evie broke the news to Idris that she had found someone new, someone who doesn't lie or cheats or break her self-esteem, and is requesting an amicable divorce. Idris obviously is livid, but Evie reminds him that upon his anger, he's still currently sleeping with his new secretary. So it's either they divorce cleanly and quietly with a couple of things left in his name, or if he chooses to fight, she takes everything. She takes all the cars, all the offices, and the lifestyle that he so proudly flaunts. Let's see how Lagos girls will gallivant with him when he's using Uber instead of G-Wagon. The craziest thing about this whole story is that Evie left her phone unlocked with texts from Zeke, and it still took Idris 5 good days to find the evidence. So yes, on the madness scale, I would say, let's see. We have a man whore who emotionally abuses our protagonist, but on the other hand, has a happy ending. So I wouldn't call this insane. I would say this is mad, quite mad. Quite mad. Our 8th story is titled Catfish, and it's about this up-and-coming Lagos musician named Donald Okoro, whom we'll refer to as Don. Now, Don has been chatting to this fine Lagos baddie called Dushima. He's been on tour for a few months, and ever since he DM'd her on Instagram, they've been chatting ever since. He plans to surprise her early from his tour because from all their freaky sexting, the guy has an end goal, and the end goal is to knock. But there's just one problem. You see, Dushima is a catfish. Not in the literal sense. I mean, she does look like what she told him. However, the whole Lagos baddie persona that she puts up on her social media handles is all a ruse. She's actually secretly a prude and a certified good girl that's only able to keep up with Dawn's needs due to her flatmates Edikan and her baddie tips and tricks. When Dawn comes to surprise her early from his tour, Dushima is panicking because she thought she'd still have more time to learn how to be a better baddie in real life before they meet. So she and Edisan hatch a plan. They'll go clubbing with Don and get him so drunk that he won't be able to do anything with Dushima, and she can evade the knacking he so desperately wants. It doesn't work though. Don refuses to drink too much, and when they get back to the flat, Don is so sexually frustrated. Dushima bites him during their makeout session and then proceeds to just lie on the bed motionless when they do the deed and sleeps off immediately after he finishes. He says it's the worst hookup of his life. He tries texting his ex, but she leaves him on red, so Don goes to the living room in search for water. Unbeknownst to any of them, Edikan had a plan of her own. You see, she wasn't just helping Dushima to create the baddie personality from the goodness of her heart. No. Edikan did it because she knew that what she lacked in beauty, she could use Dushima to attract the big fish in Lagos that she's been so desperately searching. So when Dawn comes out in search for water, she's right there in the kitchen, clad in lingerie, beckoning him to her room so she can show him that she's the true Lagos baddie that he's been searching for. Yes, Dushima catches them during the act because of all the noise they're making. But hey, Dawn says he didn't go after Edikan. She went after him and he just obliged. And in this life, you have to hustle for your orgasm, and he intends to collect as many as he can. Now this one, on the scale of stupid, mad, insane, you have a two-timing, catfishing, conniving, and scheming group of individuals. It's not mad. It's not even insane. It's honestly, frankly, just plain stupid. Story number 9 is titled Sideline and is another cruel story of betrayal. Genevieve Ndala is a 29-year-old young woman living a small life with big dreams. She came to Lagos from Enugu with a hustling spirit but was betrayed by the realities of living in the city. She lives in a room with her childhood best friend Ini and her goddaughter Treasure, plagued by evidences of her failed ventures and dreams. But all that changed when one day an unknown number calls her phone. She picks up and it's a man called Odi for short. He says he saw her pick up a delivery from the front of her gate and paid the delivery man to get her number. Personally, that should have been the first red flag, but alas, she doesn't hang up on the weirdo. And in the blink of an eye, her life is turned over. 3 weeks after the call, gets her a job. A few weeks after that, they're sharing saliva in the back of his luxury vehicle. Their sexual chemistry is insane. He was intoxicating to Jenny. Her friend Ini voices her concerns about how fast the relationship is moving, but at this point, Jenny is too far gone. Felt like she had finally found the Prince Charming that would bring her Lagos dreams to fruition. She followed him everywhere. She even bought a house in Lekki Phase 1 that he paid for and visited in between business trips. Yes, it was only 6 months after they started their whole gallivanting that Odi asked her if she would date him. And it's like, Oga, what were you guys doing before all of this, please, if it wasn't dating? Friendship. By the 1.5-year mark, Ini had begun telling Treasure to not accept gifts from Uncle Odi until he marries Auntie Jenny. But Jenny doesn't mind. Feels like she knows Odi fully already. She knew his birthday, February 29th. She knew that he had a phobia for taking pictures, and she knew about his Forex seminars and the bad press that comes with them. She knew everything about Odi. Everything except for the fact that he had a wife. That she didn't know. But she did find out one Saturday on her way out of Ebano supermarket, seeing him next to a heavily pregnant woman. She tried to confront them that day, but fainted and ran away. And it wasn't until 2 days later that Odi came to the house to express his disappointment in her trying to embarrass him in front of his wife. That she should know the deal. I mean, technically, he never lied about having a wife, because technically she never asked if he had a wife. Her heart broke from the coldness of his tone as he said that if things were to continue between them, she must never pry into his private life. A few days after some reflection on if she should continue being the side chick to a married man or take her chances as a 31-year-old spinster, she tries calling Odi, but it kept saying his number did not exist. She didn't have his number, he doesn't have any social media, and she doesn't have any pictures of him. So after 3 months of searching for what seemingly felt like a ghost, Jenny ultimately came to the conclusion that her heart had indeed been broken by a married Lagos man. Now this is insane. You have the love bombing from the married man. You have the calculative cheating and the fact that he's single and searching and ready to date people despite being married. So yes, on a scale of stupid, mad, insane, this was absolutely insane. I cannot believe Lagos men actually do this. This is crazy. Story number 10 is titled Beard Gang. Now, before I explain to you, my lovely Ceevaluators, what a beard is in this context, let me introduce the Beard Gang to you. They are officially called the Virtuous Wives Guild on their WhatsApp group. So we have Bonju. She's punctual to their meetings, she's respectful, and she's very discreet for someone so young. She is married for 8 years to Dipo, an oil magnate. We have Onome. She's the flamboyant one and a quintessential Lagos big girl who is married to a pastor. We have Fatima, a beautiful woman who is the third wife to a northern senator. We have Flora, a bona fide hustler, cold-blooded, fakest to ever fake it, married to a socialite. And finally, we have our protagonist, whom we only know as Auntie Me, a woman who came from crippling poverty until the day she met and married her husband, Biodun, who then met a benefactor, Otumba, who transformed her husband into a billionaire. She's been married to her husband for 20 years and they have 2 beautiful boys together. But it was only 8 years ago, before Bonju's marriage to Dipo, did our protagonist find out that her husband was secretly gay.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
When she walked in on him and Dipo in their house, going down on each other in their marital bed. It was only then that the late Lady Deborah, Otumbu's wife of 11 years, who was the original founder of the Beard Gang, welcomed her into it. You see, a beard is just that. It's a cover. It's wealthy, closeted gay men marrying and having children with women in order to hide their sexuality from the general public. Boju joined a year after her marriage when she was already pregnant with their first child. Onome joined when her pastor husband came out to her. Fatima joined after her husband suggested a threesome during their honeymoon and brought a man. Flora, the calculative opportunist, knew way before her wedding but married him anyways and was now the one calling an emergency meeting because her husband Julius plans to run away to Miami with his young lover, leaving her high and dry. She signed a prenup, she has no children with him, and therefore she has no way of blackmailing him to stay with her the way the other wives do. She turned to Auntie Me for help, and as the new de facto leader that was appointed by the late Lady Deborah before her passing, she has to be the one to step up and fix it. An easy fix, really. All she had to do was get $10,000 from Flora and use that $10,000 to convince the young man, Ifedayo, that if Julius finds another younger conquest, he'll leave him high and dry. And that instead, he should take the money and create an investment portfolio with her financial advisor, who she'll recommend to him, and convince Julius to pay for his degree in Miami. Ifedayo asks her why she's helping him, but she just smiles and tells him that someone did it for her once, and now she's passing the good deed on. Anything to help her survive this crazy ordeal called bearded marriage. Now, this one, you guys need to read the book because this one is actually insane. This one is actually insane. Like the whole secret society thing, the thing with lavender marriages, or I guess beard marriages, you would call in this context, and the amount of fake life romance that these women are living is insane. Like to me, it's genuinely insane because I can't even fathom the idea of staying in that kind of situation. But the fact that they are staying and getting something out of it is insane. Story number 11 is titled I Knew You. Now, before I start the story, I just want to state that I personally think our protagonist, Sadiq, who we'll refer to as Sid, is definitely a Scorpio. This man is so freaking melodramatic. Oh my god. Anyways, Sadiq Sid Benside is the lead singer of a popular band, and he meets the lovely Omolayo at a gig that his band played at OJ's when she came in with her friends for drinks. Layo was an attendant at Lasut, and from the very first day that they met, chemistry was instant and electric, and it wasn't long until they started seeing each other regularly. There's just one problem though. Sid is what some might refer to as an avoidant. Yes, he loves Layo, but at the same time, he fears commitment. Maybe it has to do with the fact that his Lebanese father left his mother, a young waitress, 3 months of love bombing by a man who abandoned her and went right back to France and never came back. After his mother's death, Sid has been alone since he was 16. Feels like he doesn't need to get close to anyone, and he doesn't need to be shackled by menial things like love or marriage. Laia, on the other hand, was the opposite. She was so hopelessly in love with Sid that she didn't understand why he couldn't just love her back. Their first breakup happened when Laia realized that he had never said I love you back to her, despite the numerous love songs that he sang. The second breakup was after she broke the news to him that she was pregnant, and he disappeared to Ikeja for 2 days to drown himself in alcohol. Came around though eventually, and they had their daughter Tomison. And for some time, things were good. They even had a little boy after Tomison called Toby. They moved to a bigger house, and they were really a happy family, but still no commitments from Sid, no ring, no promise of a definite future. Laia's parents had been married for 25 years, so obviously she wanted the stability that she grew up watching. The crack happened the day of her parents' 25th marriage anniversary when she asked him if he ever saw them getting married, and Sid replied, I guess. The final breakup happened a month later at Toby's birthday party when Loyal asked point blank in front of everyone present at the party when exactly Sid intended on marrying her. And Sid sat in silence, refusing to answer the question for 3 good minutes. Do you know how long it is to sit in silence for 3 minutes? 60 seconds, 3 times. He sat in silence, he didn't say anything. After all the guests had left, she told him that the next time he goes on tour, he shouldn't return and instead rent a place close by for the kids. That was 6 months ago. He cancelled his tour early and he's been moping about ever since. The story ends with Sid lamenting about having lost his home and his one true love, writing a song to let her know that he's waiting for her, hoping that she'll eventually come back to him somehow. Now this one is stupid. This one is very, very bloody stupid because number one, I hate avoidance. I hate avoidance, man. They piss me off. So you have like an avoidance attachment, Lagos musician man with an inferiority complex. This is not mad. This is not insane. This is stupidity. Stupid. Even Lio is stupid for falling in love with a man like this. Our final story, story number 12, is titled Independence Day, and it starts with our protagonist, Osaremen, running into the man who raped her on Independence Day 16 years ago. That day started as such a perfect day. A 17-year-old Osa had just gotten admission to study architecture at Unilag, and because schools hadn't started yet due to the ASU strikes, she interned as a business center one of her dad's friends owned. But it was October 1st, Independence Day, and there was no work. However, she also didn't want to spend the day slaving away at her Aunt Philo's shop, so she decided to get dressed and go have lunch with Charles, a third-year student at UI whom she had met in her neighborhood and who had been toasting her for a while. They'd been on dates prior, 3 specifically, and she needed to get out of the house, so why not? He offered to take her to a new fast food place near her house, but instead he took her to Festac, where he said some of his friends friends were throwing a party. When they arrived at the party, he promised her that they would stay for 10 minutes max. However, instead of taking her back, Charles roofied her at the party, beat her, and brutally raped her that night, taking her virginity. His justification was that she took too long to agree to be his girlfriend after he had spent so much money taking her out on dates. Mind you, their first date, she didn't get anything. On their second date, she got a Coke. On the third date, she got a Coke and a meat pie. Just that. By the time he dropped her back home because she didn't have enough money for transport, even her aunt Philo could tell that something inside her had been irreparably broken. After that day, Osa just wanted to die. She never drank Coke or ate meat pie again. She stopped wearing makeup and she stopped getting dressed up, opting for baggy clothes to hide her figure and multiple belts to make it harder for the next guy to take her clothes off. She always carried X-Acto knives around for self-defense. She always made sure she had enough money to leave a situation that was causing her vexation. She stopped going on dates and she wasn't able to sleep more than 4 hours a day. She started taking sleeping pills. Her friend Usifo, who worked at a private family hospital, would steal them for her. And after she told him what had been done to her, 6 years after the incident, he also began stealing antidepressants for her until he was caught by the owner's adult child, Lakon. It was Lakon, a man who she had never met, that paid for her sessions with the hospital's psychiatrist and helped her with her antidepressant prescriptions. It was Lakon who tore down the walls that she so carefully built to secure herself, invited her for family events, he invited her to watch football tournaments or Big Brother finales together. It was Lakon who made her feel she could be loved despite being broken. And it was Lakon who made her realize that, you know what, she was glad that she didn't in fact die that day. 9 years after marrying Lakon, their 7-year-old son, Lakon Jr., just so happens to be in the same class as the son of her rapist, whom she meets on the school's cultural day, Oktoberfest. Thoughts about death again. Not her own this time, but Charles's. She wanted to kill him. She wanted so desperately to. However, she remembered that she had a family and something to lose. So instead of killing him physically, she opts to do the next best thing, which is to kill him socially. So when the principal, Mrs. Owonkedi, brings her on stage for her cultural day speech, she uses the opportunity to finally share her story about how Charles Adesulure raped her on this day 16 years ago. Charles, stop hiding behind your innocent wife. Charles, why are you running? Charles, why are you running? Why are you running? Come back. This one is definitely insane. This one is definitely insane. Even though it is a happy ending and she married Lakon at the end and she has a child, obviously the PTSD from what Charles did to her is still there. So I can't call this mad. I can't call this stupid. This is genuinely insane, but I am happy at the ending. The fact that she called him out in front of everybody made me so happy when I finished reading the book. And that, my friends, was nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad by Damilare Kuku. But wait, we are not done, because that was just the narration. Now let's take a look at the rule scale and give it a score. Now, the rule scale is a scale made by yours truly to systematically rate the books that we talk about on this channel. It's based on readability, entertainment/enjoyment, writing style, and lessons learned. Now, readability, I would give this 9 out of 10. You really can't go wrong with a collection of short stories. I feel like because every story is different, it's going to evoke a different emotional reaction from the reader. And I like short stories. I really do enjoy them. And Damilare Kuku, she overly hit the mark. She hit the mark so well. This book is so easy to read and so easy to understand. All the situations and different plots and everything was really enjoyable. Entertainment/enjoyment, again, very enjoyable. I would give this a 10 out of 10. If you weren't entertained by this book, even a little bit, like, what's wrong with you? You have to tell me what's wrong with you. You cannot be entertained by this book. You can't tell me that not one of those 12 stories didn't entertain you. You can't tell me that. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. Very enjoyable read, and it's a real conversation starter if you read this book. Like when I'm in the airport and I'm reading this book and they see the cover, people come up to me and they're like, oh, what are you reading? Like, why are nearly all the men in Lagos are mad? And then I get the chance to explain to them why. So yeah, very enjoyable, 10 out of 10. Writing style, honestly, I would also give the writing style a 10 out of 10. I love how every story is set in a different format. You know, you have the stories that are just narrations, or you have stories that are a retelling of events, or you have stories that are switching POVs between the different characters. It makes all the stories very dynamic and very unique in their own ways. So yeah, definitely a 10 out of 10. 10. Damilare Kuku is a phenomenal writer. Like, she really reels you in all these stories. They're really, really good. And then finally, lessons learned. So even though we didn't really learn why nearly all the men in Lagos are mad, I believe that we did learn that love comes in many forms. You know, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly, like I said in the beginning of the video. It's really crazy. Nearly all the men in Lagos are mad. I would cross out this nearly. I would say all the men in, I would cross out Lagos. I would put Nigeria. I would say all the men in Nigeria are mad. But then again, I can't even say all the men in Nigeria are mad because there were stories about men with crazy women also. So I don't even know. Everybody's mad. All of you are mad. You're mad. I'm mad. Person behind the camera is mad. No, but really, I feel like Lagos has a spirit. I really do feel like Lagos has a spirit inside it somewhere. In fact, one of my other favorite books, Vagabonds, which I hope to also review on this channel one day, talks about the fact that Lagos has a spirit. And I agree. I agree. There's a very demonic, devilish spirit in that city. And we will find it and we'll kill it one day. But yeah, lessons learned, I would give it an 8 out of 10. That brings our score to 37 out of 40, 92.5%, which is an A++. I would definitely recommend this book. I enjoyed this book so much. I really, really did. Please read this book. I tried my best to not make this video too long because I wanted to talk about all the stories, but I didn't want to do it in parts. I just wanted like one full video. But I did not even talk about most of what happens in this book, like with the story. This is just like a very short summary. Please, I would really urge you to read this book. It's a very enjoyable read. Come on, just read the book, please. And I know there's another book that is, I think, the male version of this, Nearly All the Women in Lagos Are Mad. Yeah, I've read the book. I just want to say, this is not even me being like misandrist or anything because, oh, he's a man and he wrote the book because he wanted to show that, oh, even women in Lagos too are mad. No, the guy just can't write. I'm so sorry. I read every single page of that book. The man cannot write. Like, if you read that book and you read this book, you can tell who is the writer, who's the professional writer. So yes. But who knows? I might actually still review that book. I don't know. If you guys recommend it, I will. I won't like it, but I'll read it and I'll narrate it and summarize it for you guys. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like if you did enjoy it. Comment what your favorite story was. My personal favorite story was the Beard Gang because, like I said, you guys need to read the book. Like, when I read that chapter, my mouth was just open the whole time. I was like, are there actually marriages? Like, obviously there are, but then I didn't think about it before reading this book, you know? But yeah, it was crazy. Leave a like, drop a comment. Please make sure to subscribe. We tried to do a new format today. I don't know. Do you guys like it? Oh my God, do you like it? I don't know. I hope you do. Please don't say you don't like it because I don't know what I'll do. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to be here with me. So yeah, thank you. I'm really grateful. And very soon, we are going to be posting on Spotify and Apple Music the audio version of all the episodes that we have filmed so far. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Again, thank you so much. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ceevaluations. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!